ping us on the mailing list and we'll discuss all of that later on. Okay. Yes, a lot of time, Ben asks, a lot of time when I click on documents in the UI, there are multiple objects with the same ID but with different E tags. I think that this isn't it. You usually don't see the E tags in the summary view or in the documents view. You're talking about this, and the second line is actually the ID. So this is just the convenience function. This is just a convenience way of looking at this, because the ID is airplane/1. We're just futzing around with the way that we're actually showing the data. Let's see what else. Can we preview the new Management Studio? This is actually the new Management Studio. We're just talking about making it better, more efficient, and the whole bunch of stuff specifically about caching in here that we want to improve. What would you recommend for reading beside Raccoon blog to learn RelationDB modeling and learn proper document DB modeling? Probably the most important thing is on the RavenDB site. If you go to documentation, there is the document design guidelines. This basically talks about how to design good documents. There is also on my blog, here's an example. I have a lot of blog posts about document-based modeling. Just go to my blog and go to the Raven tag, and that would basically give you a lot of no, this shouldn't be Raven, but that should give you a lot of information about that. We usually talk in the blog about the concepts and how to utilize them. In the mailing list, we talk about the actual implementation details. Do you know if, so Bruno asked, do you know of any deployment of RavenDB on the Azure platform? And yes, we do. There are people using RavenDB on the Azure platform. This probably deserves its own dedicated webcast, so we will not discuss this later right now. How would you model a typical category hierarchy in many CMS systems? We actually talked about it recently. I actually talked about it recently on the blog about how to model categories. I think we talk about, we call it reference information. So in this blog post, we talk about how to model reference data. Daniel, the states in this blog post are the categories in most CMS systems. Oliver asks, how do I decide when it makes sense to use RavenDB for my application? The answer is, do you use .NET? Then you should use RavenDB. Well, not really, obviously, but I wish that this would be the answer. This is a big question. I talk about it frequently on the blog post. Basically, if you use domain-driven design, if you use persistent view models, if you have complex information that cannot be easily stored in relational database without a prohibitive performance cost, this is where you want to use RavenDB. As I said, this is a very big question. It's very hard for me to answer that. Guys, how would you feel about another webinar in about, I think I have time tomorrow at around noon Israeli Standard Time, which is GMT +3. How would you feel about doing just RavenDB Q&A, because I'm not going to be able to finish all of your questions? Anyone want to do that? Please raise your hand if you do. So there are a few, and we're probably going to do that. So it just be pure open discussion, and we'll actually, you know what we'll do is we actually open that to voice discussion. So that would probably be much easier for everyone to actually do it in voice instead of just text and stuff like that. When is in Service Bus Raven support coming for Saga and Data Store? In Service Bus 3.0. Mark, CQRS and event sourcing is a perfect example for where you want to use RavenDB. We actually have a sample specifically about that. What is the best way of handling contains? Well, Thomas, we have an extension method called in. You can use that, and that will do it for you. Have people used RavenDB to store the session state? Yes, they have. This is a good idea. This is one of the cases where you want to use this. Sim, there are many people using RavenDB. Most of them I cannot talk about. One of the interesting one is actually on the website. This is the first deployment for RavenDB. The one that I've told you they have been very trusting in RavenDB, and they've went live with RavenDB in a very short amount of time. This is a mutual fund company that uses RavenDB to store financial information for their system. And I'm not sure how much information I can say beyond that. There is a full testimonial about RavenDB in the website, so you can just go to RavenDB and go to testimonials and go that. There's these guys who are using that. There is a bunch of other people, but those are the guys who actually told me that I can say that they have used RavenDB. And that's about it. We're about 10 minutes overdue. One last question is there a size limit to the store document? Not a hard one. So if you want to store a document which is 100 megabyte in size, we will accept that. It will cause performance problems later on because you have to stream that information down to the user, and it means that indexing the document will take some time. But beyond that, no, there are no performance problems in that regard. Document sizes that we commonly see are in the hundreds of megabytes and in the hundreds of kilobytes into several megabytes without any issues. We have spent a lot of time with RavenDB in actually optimizing that specific part. In fact, Itamar, if I recall correctly, that was the first thing that you have done when you come on to work on RavenDB, right? I think that Itamar is...
Yeah, JSON optimizations.
Yes. Okay. Kenny, in a future webinar, we can absolutely talk about those sort of things. We're actually going to try to do this on a weekly or bi-weekly event, depending on our scheduling options, and we will see how we can do that. Yes, absolutely. Just send us all of the suggestions to the mailing list. We will gather them and we will do whatever we can to try to answer them as fast as possible. But obviously a format like that where we can actually interact with one another is much easier, especially when we can actually talk to one another instead of just using text. And that's about it, guys. Thank you very much. And